This is the regular meeting of the Board of Finance, Town of Bethany, on November 12th, 2004. And we're meeting in the Selectmen's Conference Room. Physically present as members of the board are Sally Heiser and Martha Azarisi. I almost said it backwards. I am so sorry. I'm Sharon Huxley, the chair. Katie Erickson is on virtually. We also have Leslie Bacigalupi, our finance director. We have Paulico Francesco, our first selectman, and we have Jen Savo, our recorder. And this meeting is called to order at 6:33. So the first item of business is public comment. Do we have anyone online?
No.
That's a member of the public?
No.
No?
Katie's the only one online, and then.
Okay, but Katie's there.
Katie's there.
If you want to turn your mute off, it's fine, because it's just us chickens.
Okay.
And the greater world on YouTube and Zoom. But, you know. All right, then I think we'll move on to the next item, the review of the minutes of previous meetings. First, all right, Leslie, you had that nice little list of who was
Yes,
going to be able.
we can review the August and the September minutes. We
Okay.
do not have a quorum for the October meeting.
Okay. All right,
We need Lars for that.
Lars for one and John for the other, right?
No, there were 5 at the August meeting.
No, okay. Then the minutes of the August 13th meeting, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Katie. All right, we made some changes, some edits after the
original submission.
the
yes.
original submission, and so the edited version is in front of us. Comments on these minutes?
None for me.
Thank you. No, Martha? I am good. Sally? You had a chance? Okay, then there being no comments, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so they pass. Then we have the September 10th regular meeting in front of us, and would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll move that.
Thank you. We have a second.
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. All right,
It's the
after,
September 30th special meeting, Sally.
Huh?
It's the special meeting from
Well, I was
September
like,
30th.
Oh, I said
I have the
September 10th.
30th, I don't have the 10th, but
Okay, I
Wait.
was about to make a comment about that. There's special meeting in the agenda for the 30th. I don't have any other September meeting minutes in my packet.
It's the 30th special meeting.
I'm sorry.
Grant committee meeting, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so I will amend the motion to approve the minutes of the September 30th special meeting.
I apologize. I had pulled out the wrong agenda. I was looking at my October agenda. All right, thank you, Katie. Martha, are you? Yep, that's fine with that. All right. Any comments on the minutes of the September 30th special meeting? No. Katie?
I do, I'm having give me a minute. I printed double-sided. There's 2 goal sections and it was a little confusing. There's immediate goals and then there's regular goals. And I just feel like that section could be clarified a little bit. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Oh yeah, here, this one. So the board is on the second page, the drafted goals submitted by Jen Cafaso were well received by the board and were as follows. I think we should say what goals those were, like do you know what Because below that, we're talking about creating the advisory board. So maybe that section should move down.
Okay. I am, which page?
Right here.
On the second, the draft of goals submitted should, Katie's saying should go below the next paragraph where it says the board decided to create an advisory board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe we say the drafted goals by Jen Cafaso for this advisory board would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Jen, do you see where that change would be?
Yep,
All right.
just moved it.
Those weren't her minutes.
Those were mine, Jen's, but.
They're
Oh,
Jen
but I know-
Cavasso's
but I-
minutes.
No,
think
I
I
just
have
meant,
them on my-
could she
Oh.
see it on her hard
Oh,
copy?
got it.
Where the
Okay.
change, sorry.
Do you need me to change anything since Jen's out or?
I have them saved on my computer, so.
Well,
I can-
the question becomes is who do we, I mean,
I can, if you want me to sign.
if
off
we
on
want
it.
the official version to be filed
Mhm.
with the town clerk. Like after this meeting, it will have to wait for her signature, which could be
December.
Weeks.
It's
the
like,
middle of December.
Why?
she's out.
Why? Because we're approving it.
Do they not have to be signed
Yes, but
before they're submitted? Or
why does she have to sign them?
Well, they're her
They're
minutes.
her minutes.
They're her minutes that she
But
did.
they've been approved and edited by Jen Savage,
Okay,
right?
I
okay,
mean,
Yeah.
I can edit these.
okay,
That's
I
fine.
can send, yeah.
That's
okay.
fine. I can write edited by on the, underneath her name, that's
Yeah,
fine.
with the
Yep.
date.
And with her
Mhm.
date,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can do that.
yeah.
That'll
Okay.
work.
That will work.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make sense to hold the official filing
No, it doesn't.
for 4 or 5 weeks.
We are not going to make her,
No,
we're not gonna.
No.
Yeah.
no, I was going to
we could do
volunteer
that.
to
All right.
change it. to
So,
my minutes.
those in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Fine.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's again for 4 and 0. So the next item on the agenda, once I have the correct agenda back in front of me. Thank you.
And the
So-
October will be postponed until.
October will be postponed until we have a quorum of people who were attending. Now, the finance director's report. Leslie?
Okay, the standard monthly numbers are in front of you, both the revenue, where we stand for the year to date on revenue and where we stand year to date on expenses. It's still early in the year. Nothing's of critical concern at the moment. The legal section appears to be over budget, but that's because I did not make any of the budget amendments in the admin software system. So the same thing will happen under solid waste. The budget amendments will be made when we transfer to Munis. I will put them in
Mhm.
Munis because admins will not maintain the original budgeted amount, and it's critical that the original approved budget by the town show up when we convert 25 in Munis. So that's why they are on hold, and the legal line and the solid waste appear to be over budget for the whole department.
So it'll be corrected when it goes to Munich.
It will be corrected when it goes to Munis.
Mhm.
Yes.
Questions, anyone? Oh, the second item? The second part of A1?
The ARPA?
Yes, just our situation.
Okay, our situation with ARPA, Sharon and I reviewed it, all the ARPA numbers earlier today. And the good news, bad news on that is some projects have come in under budget. One project that we were hoping to fund with ARPA money will not come to fruition by the time we need to have all the funds encumbered, which would be the land use software. The RFP has not yet been developed for that. So that will probably be going down as a capital item for fiscal year 26 budget. So that leaves us with approximately $25,000 that we have to come up with a use before the end of this calendar year.
Which essentially means that at our next meeting in December, we're going to have to encumber those funds for projects.
Did you say 25,000, Leslie?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I know that the body cams, the dash and body cams came in under budget for the police. However, Dave has informed me that the body armor needs to be replaced. So he and I will be working on that tomorrow to see what would look like, what that would cost. And I will have those hard numbers available.
So that would be eligible, not under the same ARPA approval. We would have to approve another one. We will have to, hopefully, we don't identify anything large enough that has to go to a town meeting, because it's not going to happen, and we'll just lose those funds. But there have been others kind of asking if there might be any funds available, so they haven't asked for them though.
No.
But if they don't ask for them, then, we've done a pretty good job at getting rid of $660 something thousand, right?
Our.
Well,
it was
1.6 million.
I'm sorry,
1.6 million is the total.
Yes, right, 800 and
Yeah, two tranches they call it.
yeah.
Sharon,
So,
didn't
yes.
you ask about something? It was in the meeting last time and it came up in the minutes as well. About whether or not something could be covered by ARPA?
There was a question about a project, I think, was it something at Betts Park?
Oh,
Just give me a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna,
I was gonna say,
We were going to go, we didn't have time today to go through everything, but we'll try to have
let's.
an inventory of hopefully some requests. We could even do some outreach. We were thinking of maybe calling the library to see if there was something.
I
that
believe
they
it was
could-
with the land use, something with the software.
Yes, we're going to have to abandon that one because it can't be encumbered in time, because an
Town
RFP
meeting.
an RFP has to be developed, and then it has to go out for bid, and then we would go to a town meeting, none of which is going to happen by the time we have to have everything encumbered. 12/24 is the absolute deadline for ARPA, and then the funds go away. The funds go back.
I don't want to give money back.
No, we don't want to give money back.
I don't think anyone at this table wants us to give money back.
And part of
You guys can't, like, donate it or
what
something
happened
or
was
something.
there was another 30-something thousand in interest that was earned. Was that, or was that the total?
The total money, the total interest earned on that money was close to 30,000, so
That's what it's.
and you have to use the money in the same manner that the original money was given to you, so.
So if you know of any town organizations that might be looking for appropriate projects that would come in under the cap, where they would have to go to a town meeting and would,
Was the fund for the BAA that doesn't qualify? Outdoor,
I don't know.
the Bethany
Um,
Athletic Association, because I know we had done some track work up there. At the field, under the ARPA. I just didn't know if the fencing, because I guess they had requested some funding. Or whoever was potentially.
They
supposed to do.
can submit a request.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
I mean, but they have to have hard numbers to anybody, you know. of
So
any,
the $25,000, does that include that interest or no?
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, because, the spreadsheet in the packet that shows the ARPA money, I calculated everything. Because we received 1,641,000. But we have like the 1,600,000 and it's
Yeah.
probably 70,000 to spend. So I added the interest in at the bottom because it was the original number that is at the top, the 164. But what we can spend includes the interest.
Mhm.
And we were doing the interest calculation today, which was more than the
More-
19 that's on this page. I should have reviewed that before I put that together, but I didn't think of it until Sharon and I were trying to figure out how much money is left today.
Yes, and we can probably get this out to everybody
Yeah.
fairly soon.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
that we have an idea of what kind of money. A harder number, because
I'll have it
so
out by
we know
Thursday.
that Dave's going to make a
Yes. Well,
request.
after I get information, after Dave and I meet
Discuss.
tomorrow and we discuss, I will get an updated sheet out to everyone by the end of Thursday, which will have an accurate interest number on it and exactly where we stand because,
Where we think we stand.
right, because Will is still waiting for one invoice for the Historical Society.
Oh, that's right. And we weren't sure whether that money had all been dispersed or not, so.
I know that he turned in the flooring invoice today.
Oh, so we know that wasn't,
It's listed as encumbered, but I will know what the
Yeah.
actual spend is on that,
all
because we will be cutting checks tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
right, just everybody understand what this is about. So if you know of anyone with relatively small projects, that they can pull together and document, with hard numbers.
I need
And
to.
are eligible. And are eligible for ARPA funds, yeah.
Sure, you're quite eligible. I mean, my barn could use a roof too.
Well, between the two of us, we probably could spend that money.
That's right. There you go. Well, it depends on how fancy you want your floors. Okay. Okay, so you have no actual transfers.
I have no actual transfers, no.
And then,
Transfers are a no.
okay, the legal beyond retainer. Do you wanna?
Yeah.
The update?
Last month, Sally had requested that we start looking at, what are we spending in legal fees? So I have pulled some information. I can share summary numbers with you tonight. I cannot release the actual invoices because of privilege information on some of the invoices. We would have to redact certain information. But what I can tell you is every month when we receive a retainer invoice, we get billed for the work performed and any adjustments, because the retainer is contracted out at $3,100 a month. Just throw out a couple random dates here. The August of 2023. Our invoice was discounted $2,200. The actual services were $5,300. But the attorney's law firm absorbed $2,200 that month. March of 24. There was $1,600 absorbed. April of 24. $1,900 was absorbed. May of 24. $2,800 was absorbed. June of 24, $4,900 was absorbed. July of 24, 3,400 was absorbed. I mean, so our invoices are being discounted. What they are charging to the retainer, they are discounting. Now, there is a second line that is regular straight up legal expense, which falls outside of the retainer, which would have to do with any type of litigation that the town is involved with. It could, and it doesn't mean it crosses all departments. In fiscal year 23, those costs were $8,300. There was also $13,300 that year in attorney's fees just for contract negotiations with Public Works. We budget $25,000 a year for these miscellaneous items. So we were within that framework. Fiscal year 24, the other legal was $16,000. The solar legal expenses was almost $23,000, which is why we had asked for a transfer from contingency last year to cover that. We had originally thought it would be reimbursed, but because of the way the withdrawal of the petition was done, we could not recoup those costs. This year so far, it's $3,100 in various legal fees. But the information, the invoicing regarding the particular matter at hand, as the best way of putting it, that has been billed separate from the retainer this year. And that has run over $17,000.
So,
But the amount of work involved with that has slowed the last 4 to 6 weeks.
so the line item information can still be provided. It just has to have some privileged information redacted. And when I talked to him earlier, I said, yes, please do that, because we were asked for specifics. Privileged information relating to legal actions cannot be divulged. So,
But I was more interested in amounts, like,
yeah, well,
where are we going or?
I mean,
but you
are.
asked for the details,
Right.
so we were trying to get detail.
we're trying to get as much information for you. I
appreciate it.
I hope that helps.
Mhm.
It's not all inclusive, I mean. But right now, we're still within the $25,000 budgeted line item.
Okay.
I don't know if we will stay within that line item. You guys will be the first to know if there's a problem there.
Okay.
Now there is one,
There's the Novus.
yes, I did have to sign an agreement with Novus for additional fee beyond our normal scope and contract because of the ongoing independent investigation. We cannot supply the information. We do not, as employees, we do not feel it is appropriate for us to supply them with the information. It is better for them as the investigators to go through what they are looking for on their own, and they're doing that directly with Novus. That way they will have a comprehensive look at what they're looking for, and no one can say, well, you did not turn over all emails, all correspondence. They will be working directly with Novus to obtain that information.
Who's Novus
Okay.
again? I'm sorry.
Novus is our,
I
IT
Got it.
support and
provide-
brainchild.
They own us. Okay, oh, so the amount is approximately $2,200 for the single data poll to respond to the
Investigation.
to the investigation. It doesn't involve other data polls that might have to happen for other
Items.
other items or other things at other times. It's not an all encompassing, it's a one shot deal. So that's just an FYI. Our current plan is to bill it to the same line, same $75,000. If that line goes over, well, then we'll have to go from contingency.
Yeah, if the legal line goes over by the dollar amount of the IT poll,
Yeah.
then we will move them, then I would recommend the transfer from contingency. But I feel as though it is better from a historical standpoint of keeping it all in the same GL line.
Okay, budget.
Budget timeline. Oh, it's that time of the year again.
Excited.
Oh, the budget process is going to look very much like it did last year. We're not going to be deviating from that. It will be a little more challenging for the department heads, and I will be meeting with all of them because the new budget, next year's budget will be completed with all new GL numbers. It will be done within the Munis system. So we have to work with them so that they understand the mapping, where it was versus where it's going. But I am putting out the request to all the department heads to get their budgets. The request is going out before Thanksgiving. And all budgets will be due back to the finance office by December 20th. So we will need to schedule workshops for January.
Okay. Right. Jen, you don't have to pull all the detail on all of this stuff,
Okay. The
especially when.
response is when, December what?
20th.
December
December
20th.
20th.
Yeah, I just. kinda
Because I
snapped
noticed you're trying to get down all the details, but
just
actually
snapping it.
all the documents are going to be there too. So,
that. Okay.
you know, like the ARPA things, you don't have to.
Oh, no, just quick jots. That was it.
Okay, well,
Quick
I
jots.
was just worried that
No,
you
no,
were
no,
going
no,
to try
no.
and capture everything that was already being documented on other.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go
Okay.
like line for line on that.
Alright,
no.
you would go, you would just go crazy.
That's a lot of numbers.
All right.
That's a little too much. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Something that might be helpful for everyone to think about between now and the December meeting is, do we want to try to do it in 2 meetings? Do we want to do it in? We can't do an all-day meeting, I don't think.
I think we broke it up two Fridays last.
We've done it.
dinner, or-
We'll see
We've
what
done it
people want to
in 2
do.
nights.
Yeah, it was,
but just-
one started at 3, right?
I think it was
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, one was at 3 and one was like at 6, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but we need to get everybody's thoughts on that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Collection.
All right, next up, the collection/refund policy.
Land use.
Well, in working with the new auditors, some things have come up. One is making sure we record all of our revenue every fiscal year for what we have earned in that fiscal year, which requires booking receivables for what we have not yet been paid for. And then it's also, well, how do you handle refunds? So some of the areas that I've come across is there are land use permits that are applied for. They are paid for, building permits, and then they pull the project and they want their money refunded. Well, okay, the project didn't happen. We should refund the money. but how much money should we be refunding? Because the quarter in which a building permit is applied for, a certain percentage of that has to go to the state. You don't reduce your next quarter for any refunds you make. It goes off of the amount of permits issued. So that's like a third party fee that we collect that we have to pay. So the question becomes, should that be refunded to the person applying for a permit? And how much of the original permit amount should be refunded to them? Because the land use department has spent time, energy, and effort,
Administrative fees.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
We've been paying them.
processing all of that. And so, and our office spends time to process the check to go to the state on a quarterly basis. So something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the flip side, in the past, well, no, Dave bills his private duty out on a monthly basis. So clearly in June, he will not have collected the money that is due to him for the hours that the guys worked in June. But we have paid the officers, so we book that revenue for the year in which it happens. But then what happens if someone stiffs him? How long do we leave it on the books as a receivable? When do we write it off? I don't know. Is it 90 days, 180 days, a year? Right now, there is no procedure for that. Something we should establish.
Policies.
And the same thing goes for Park and Rec. In the past, parents could sign the kids up for the before and after school program and pay at the end of the month. Okay, well, same thing comes in June. So at the end of June, if it's not all paid for, when school's out in June, if it's not all paid for at June 30, then you book the receivable for it. And how long into the new fiscal year should we be expected to collect that money? And at what point do we just say, okay, we're not going to get it? Because right now, I mean, and summer camp, the same thing was done there. They registered for summer camp. And well, we all know what happened, and there wasn't anybody manning the ship. And the finance office has finally gotten through everything, and there is a balance outstanding on some families for summer camp. So how do we want to go about collecting that revenue?
So those
Do we
families,
want to or not? How do we go about doing it?
those families that owe money,
Mhm.
are they allowed to participate in any additional programs?
There's never been a policy on
Because
that.
they shouldn't be.
There aren't policies. The whole point here is there should be policy for all
Absolutely.
these different
So
situations.
I'm looking for,
That this one is actually a significant amount of money, so.
Which
I'm-
one?
the summer camp. There is about $30,000 outstanding. And what Vinny and I did, that's the gentleman that works in my office. We went back through the attendance records. So we have looked at the services used. If you signed up for 10 weeks, but only attended 8 and paid for 5, we have we're looking for 3 weeks, not 5 weeks. So we have made all adjustments humanly possible for what is still outstanding. So, I mean,
Are we billing them?
we have not yet, but that's why
You should.
Absolutely. They took a service. They received the service. They, up until that last 3 weeks, for whatever reason,
Mhm.
they were happy with the service.
Mhm.
So they should pay for it.
Mhm.
And if they don't, after we bill them,
Okay.
then they should never be allowed in a park and rec program again, whether it's basketball. And basketball should be checked. If they owe money, then it's like, okay, we understand you paid for basketball, but until you pay the back what you owe us for this, your child cannot participate.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we lost so much money with Park and Rec. Why are we gonna continue?
Well, it's not necessary. We can outline the problem. We can make a recommendation. But I think the Park and Recs Commission and the Board of Selectmen have to follow up on all of them, because we've got things that are going to involve administrative changes in several departments once a policy is
Right,
determined.
but I just don't think that we should just not try to get the money.
That's, yeah.
So would the procedure be, we recommend a policy and that
We're gonna
goes
have
to
to
Board of
develop-
Selectmen?
We're gonna have
Yeah,
to
develop a
develop one.
policy.
That doesn't mean that we can't say, please bill,
And then-
please bill them for
And a
services
policy for
used.
the permits and for the police.
Right, I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
again,
So
These-
one policy, three different,
Well,
Yeah.
there, and maybe a universal thing for other services, because,
Funds are taken in for the town clerk's office, Robin takes in
Well-
funds for things, I mean, there's small scale things.
what do
but
other
still.
towns do?
they have a much more, let's say, robust.
Well,
Yeah,
some other towns, it's pay for the service up front. If it's not paid for, you can't participate.
Mhm.
You know, summer camp is paid for in advance. There's no installments.
Actually, even Robin, you have to pay for senior services.
The before and after program, I don't know how the JCC is handling the billing on that. But I would think that your money would be due on the 1st to the 10th of the month for the whole month.
exactly.
You know, I don't know.
I don't know if they-
Other towns, as far as the refunds go, with permits, and it's a minimum of a 15% processing fee. You get back no more than 85% of it. And because I did have one family ask me about the credit card a refund on the credit card upcharge. Well, that's
Yeah.
not that's
That's a
not,
third vendor
that's a,
fee.
that's a
Yeah,
third party
third
vendor
party.
fee, which is why now on the MyRec software program, if anyone happens to go in and look at that, under refunds, there's a disclaimer in there that states that that is a third party fee, that money is not the town's. And, it is not refundable.
I don't know who it is, they just asked for.
Katie, how do you feel on this?
Wait, we need to find out
Yeah.
the
Oh,
name
sorry.
for this person.
Can the person who just logged in under iPhone, could you put your name in the chat, please? So for our minutes, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, Katie.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Just a couple of clarification questions. Um, it's been a weird summer with Park and Rec. However, if I'm understanding correctly, you're talking about families that paid for a portion of the summer program, used more than they paid for, and sort of have outstanding balances.
Correct.
So I agree with the consensus of the room. We should request payment of it. And it seems reasonable to me to not allow other program usage until their accounts are paid in full. I mean, we can address any sort of extra need cases on a need by need basis, although I don't think that that's what we're going to find if we investigate each case. But maybe, we have to, lead with compassion if there is a difficult scenario. But if it's that they signed up for it and they didn't use it because they said they paid for 5 months and 5 weeks, and then they only used 5 weeks or something, because it was a weird summer, if we're asking them to pay for something they signed up for but ended up not using, I don't think that would be appropriate. But I don't think that's what we're talking about.
No,
No,
we're
those
not.
have already
Because
been.
we paid
Yeah.
for it, the people we needed
Yes.
for the
Mhm.
numbers we had.
Right,
Yes.
right,
So when you don't show up, we still have that person there.
Yes.
right.
that we're paying, and which is what JCC is doing.
You're right.
know,
No,
with
no,
this-
I don't disagree. It was a weird summer, Sally, though, and so I
It
can see if
was.
it took them out
but
of.
But I'm saying if you signed up for 8 weeks and you did 5, all it would have taken was one phone call saying, hey,
I agree.
I lost my job. I don't need Park and Rec Camp anymore.
Mhm.
So we're not going to do the last 3.
Mhm.
And then that's fine. They're off the books. They're not on attendance. And we know that we don't need a counselor theoretically for them.
But these are people that stayed longer and didn't pay.
Right, well, that's,
Yeah.
right.
Yes, nobody, we're not talking at all about billing.
No, but you
anyone
said
for time.
if they
didn't
paid
use.
for,
4 weeks and they were there 8 or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
We're talking about
No,
signed up for,
okay,
but didn't pay
We're-
the whole. amount.
yeah, see, and that's, to me, you should
Right.
pay it in advance.
And they
Right.
made refunds to people who did not attend and asked for
Right.
them.
Mhm.
And all of that's been taken care of.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
so
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
so you
perfect
signed
with
up
that.
and you didn't, and then you came for free, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that's taking advantage of our
Absolutely.
inappropriate, in our poor management of the program. They took advantage of the poorly managed program. But,
Because we're gone.
Hmm?
I said the managers of the program were gone at that point. They couldn't do the
That
billing.
had been the only time.
There was nobody to do the billing.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I think we should make a recommendation that we invoice the individuals. I agree with you on other circumstances about refunds. Now, when, like, for example, when someone submits for a permit and they end up not doing the project, yet we've expended costs processing the permit. You mentioned perhaps a percentage base. Maybe we could take a little bit to calculate how much the actual cost is, and we could say it could be another approach that might be a little bit fairer, because on some of these bigger permits, I don't know if the amount of work we've expended in the first month is commensurate to the size of the project. So maybe take a look at the cost of that work, the amount of hours that are spent, or something like that, so that we can have an option on how we want to propose
Yes.
that.
At the absolute minimum, we want to recover what we paid to the state. I mean,
is there
That's
a
a-
percentage of
no, it's
that?
their flat fees. Their flat fees per application.
Well, no,
So-
no, well, it depends on what the
The
application
land-
is.
Yeah, the land use ones
If it's a zoning permit,
are subdivided. Yeah.
there's a $60 fee involved on that. The state gets $58, the town keeps 2.
So then there's no refunds. I mean, it's
Of
that
that-
simple.
of
There are
that,
no
right,
refunds.
Right.
The administrative fee is $2 right there.
It's the state. It's the state.
Yeah,
Yes, but
so I
have to
mean, we
pay.
don't get that money back.
Yeah.
But on a building permit, it's like 0.26%, I think. Of the application, I can't remember exactly what it is, but we send approximately $1,500 a quarter to the state. And our annual, so that's 15 times 4 is like
6,000.
6,000, and our building permit revenue is about 150,000 a year.
Okay, so that's just building permits, not land use permits also.
That is correct. It's just building.
Yeah,
It's
because
building, it's the mechanicals. It's
Yeah.
not the land use stuff. No.
So that needs a different kind of policy because of
So it's
different
less
things.
than half
Like
a
if you
percent.
make a land
But
use,
again, you could say there's a 5% non-refundable,
well,
You know, it's just, I mean, it's,
or, and that would include. I mean, that would then give you money for some of the people. I mean, and that's what Katie said, you need to find out how much are they expending
right.
well, that
to-
would be one of the objects of the permitting software that would then include job tracking, figuring out because yeah, that information is not necessarily available. Actually, it might be extremely difficult to assemble that kind of information. Also,
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to overcomplicate it by like
Right.
having
No.
millions of steps but like for
But-
some
No.
ones where the state fee is
mean-
the entire permit, then that one's non-refundable, or, like we should have different
You know,
categories.
or you say 10%, and then as you start tracking it, you say, oh, 10% is too high, 10% is too low.
Right.
And then you can adjust the policy, but at least you have a policy where people know that
Yes.
if you cancel this, you're not getting all your money back,
Correct. Yes.
you know?
And some of the land use applications, when they involve a series of different kinds of things, like it might be a subdivision and a ZBA application and some other kind, maybe as even a zone change or things like that. There are, for subdivisions, there's the overall application, and then there's a per lot fee. And then and each one is a different application, not each lot. As the subdivision is different from a ZBA, is different from like a zone change.
And each one of those has that $60 permit.
So it's not, it's a complicated, they're all different, and they're every single
I mean,
department.
you could
has
blanket
has
say
different
state
issues.
fees are not refundable.
Yeah,
There you go. And so whatever you've paid in state fees,
they're not gonna.
you're not
get
getting it back.
But other things that involve having the town planner do
Right.
reviews, bringing in engineers to do engineering work that the town still has to pay for, regardless of what happens to the beavers and.
And you also, like, for certain projects, you might have to have public hearings, which then you have to have
And then-
a clerk come in who
Right.
takes
Mhm.
specific.
And then
So, I
for
mean,
that,
it's just-
so.
It's
It's
complicated.
involved.
It's very
And it's not something that we're looking to make, a hard, fast ruling on tonight. It's just
No.
things that we
Mhm.
need
But it
to,
needs to be done.
we need to put
We need
into
to
place.
Yes.
And I
Need to have
just,
a documented.
and I just, I want to feel for where everyone here stands so that I can have the conversations, so that I can pull in the departments and have these conversations with.
We need a policy.
Well,
Mhm.
I think basically the free ride part of it is.
It's over.
It's over.
is-
It's over.
it's over. Well, it's, yeah. It should be. Right, and
Okay,
the
so
rest of
that's
it requires,
Basically what we need.
actually requires more
There you go.
information about what's going on in every
Mhm.
department and how they see what they're doing. But we agreed to recommend at least to the finance director that their department invoice people who
Outstanding,
used services and have not paid for them.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree.
Okay, do we have a motion for that?
I will move that we
Okay.
bill any delinquent payer to the town of Bethany in any department.
That could get interesting.
Well, I didn't want to leave out the state police.
Well, you're right.
No, you know,
Actually, I was thinking that there's a separate thing going on for the tax collector for refunds and.
Right, except the tax collector who already has a
Yeah,
policy.
they already
Yes,
have,
do have a
we
policy.
voted on it. yeah.
Yes,
you
so
know?
we don't wanna do something that's in conflict
Okay.
with theirs.
No,
All right.
so
Do I have a second
Excluding-
to
I'll second it.
Sally's recommendation? Jen, do you think you have that? It's essentially.
I think so.
for all departments except
Excluding,
Except-
yeah,
Tax collector.
tax
Except
collector.
tax, except,
yeah, tax office, yeah, tax department.
All right, and.
But
Martha, did
Sally,
you second? Or-
oh, was there
yeah.
discussion? I just
Yes.
want to get.
No,
clarification.
that's where we are now.
That's where we
Now
are.
Okay,
we're
okay,
discussing.
sorry. It was just that they would all be, all delinquent accounts would be billed, is what I heard.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
except the tax collector.
So it's park and rec, it could be,
The police.
the state police. You know, where they hired our people to work and now they didn't pay, but we did. You know, so it's anybody who took services but didn't pay.
so I just want to be clear, for in that case, Sally, what you were saying, that in that scenario, we're not even billing them? Because
No.
your motion is just to
We
bill them.
haven't.
Right.
Right, we haven't, so we want to.
I know we haven't for Parks and Rec. I know that, but
Mhm.
I didn't know that was true for the state police as well.
Mhm.
Now, but with the state police, apparently because of the length of time on some of them, well, maybe we just need an overall policy that you can advise us on about at what point things are deemed uncollectible.
Yeah,
And
That-
we
that's-
could
And
just
you're
do
saying
that.
Right,
And that
but
would be
I
a
still think we should try.
Yeah,
I don't think we
absolutely.
should say, oh, it's been 6 months, nobody's paid us, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because if you start dunning people,
They'll do it
they might
again.
pay at least some,
Yes.
which is better
absolutely.
than none.
I agree.
Agree.
You gotta be careful with exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
It can get,
Mhm.
it spirals.
Yes, yeah.
no, that is.
Okay,
that's accurate.
are we ready to vote on this one?
The only other thing is
Alright.
we might need to think about if someone has like a grievance or something like that, we might need to have a policy where people come in and request at a meeting or something like that.
That could be part of the policy.
Yeah.
We're not setting the policy tonight.
Nope.
We'll start drafting it.
We are not.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's good, guys. I think
One
it's good.
action, I mean, a plan to
Mhm.
go ahead
Mhm.
and try and
Yeah,
collect.
yeah.
Mhm. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
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 Right.
moving on.
moving on.
Newness?
Well,
It just is.
yeah, it is, but we do have a target date for going live.
That's exactly 1 year later than they were originally promising us.
Yep,
However, it's real.
it is real.
It's real. I have.
We
seen
have
it.
a real chart of accounts
And we have real numbers.
and we have real
Rolled
numbers
over.
in it.
That have rolled over.
So you're in production.
We are in production.
That's a big step.
Yes, it is.
And a new auditor, I mean, things are, you know.
Yeah, we are in production, yeah. So
No more
we are
test
moving
system.
forward.
Yeah. So.
We test everything. We roll one thing at a time and test it before we,
Yeah.
Put it in
Move.
production.
so each step goes into production separately.
Mhm.
Okay. Grants are basically all informational, as Sharon and I said.
The audit.
Oh, yes, just one
Just
note.
the reminder.
Just a reminder with the audit. When we signed the contract with Mahoney Sable, we signed that contract knowing that the 24 audit would be done on extension. Because they did not have, they could not guarantee the bandwidth to get it done by December 31st because of how late they agreed to do it.
So they would have to increase their staffing, or they might have to, but they've done a tremendous amount of groundwork
Yes,
and preliminary.
and I have what they're looking for, and we have uploaded 65% of what they are looking for. The rest is because I haven't reviewed, all the documents are there. I have not reviewed the last 40% of what they're looking for to upload. And I just want to make sure that I put my eyes on the work that my staff did before I send it to them.
Makes sense.
Before we
far
move
as-
to grants,
Yeah.
there's two other items, well, maybe there's not. I'm looking at the wrong. Here we go. I was looking at an old agenda, but it reminded me that back to the ARPA, it was about the beavers, Sharon, that you were asking at the last meeting. Can we use some of the money for the beavers? And so I just wanted to mention that before we jump into grants. I know we're going into grants, but we talked about ARPA already, so I just want to mention that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Mention,
The beaver
The
project.
beaver, because I
ARPA.
guess the question was, we pay to fix the beavers out of the ARPA?
yes,
Yes, we can, or
yeah.
then I'm not sure why we're looking for.
No, what part of what happened was when we were talking about grants before, I was reading from my October agenda,
Mhm.
which had notes on it that looked remarkably like the notes on the November. So.
Okay.
See, that was me having that. Yeah, the beaver thing is not actually done, is it?
That's not North Palmerston, which
That's
is.
Mesa.
No, it's Mesa Drive.
Mesa.
Mesa was the project.
I'm not sure. I don't know
I haven't
where
heard
we stand on that. I will follow up with.
Because Don had engineering estimates on it, but then.
I
but
know
they said
where,
the beavers had to be removed, or some of them had to be removed.
there is a grant available for us to do that.
A beaver grant?
Oh,
Yes, there is a there is a grant available.
Who knew?
No, no, there is a grant available. So,
LoCIP, not LoCIP.
no,
No.
no, no.
Not that one?
DEP, I think.
Oh, DEP, okay.
No, this is.
What is
Pick an
The-
acronym.
I don't know what all right, the company that is willing to do this project offers grant funding for beaver projects. So they are willing to discount the cost of said project by 1/3 in a grant.
So it's their own grant.
Oh,
It's their own grant.
So it's a discount.
It's a discount.
okay, so that they get the job.
Yeah, so that they get the job. And we already have between $2,500 and $3,000 encumbered from last fiscal year to do this project. So I think net for this year, it's only like $1,500 expense.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it kind of fell into place to get
Yeah.
it done.
Leave it to the beavers.
Leave it to be.
Leave it to beavers.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so the other, Katie, were you looking at this long list on grants and saw that no one had volunteered? It's on page 2.
No, it just, while I was flipping through my notes, it was, I believe, from the last meeting, but we didn't approve those minutes because we didn't have the right quorum here to approve. But I do remember we talked about it last time, and that's why, or maybe it was in August that we
Okay.
talked about the beavers. And I recall that there was not enough money. They were gonna look for grants, but could we use ARPA money instead? And so earlier in this
Mhm.
meeting, there was, excess ARPA money. So it seems to me we've got, the quotes we need. It seems like a pretty easy thing to fund this project if we have everything we need.
Mhm. Yes, if there isn't enough funding available through already encumbered sources. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that we had budgeted or encumbered 3,000 something and it turned out to be 6 something. Like those are the numbers that are in my head. So
Yeah. It was a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
there's a lot more. Okay, yeah, all right.
Let's see.
Any questions on anything that's hanging out there right now?
I have a question on the grants.
Mhm.
The reimbursement grant that we're waiting for, the HUD
For HUD?
grant. Yeah,
Mhm.
for the gym, for the audio equipment. Are we getting any reimbursements on that yet, or? We haven't
No,
received.
we have not received any reimbursements yet. Our revised project was approved. All the narrative is approved and we have invoices into them for payment. But we have not received any of the funds yet. We are hoping that we do get those monies reimbursed before the end of this year, but there's no guarantee. We don't know what their time frame is. Because it's been all over the place as to how long to wait for reimbursement.
But Don did have an audio
Yes, we have had,
consultant out again.
we did RFP the services for the audio on that, and he has had DNR, which is the name of the one audio company, back in last week, and they are working on redesigning the entire system for us from what we originally thought we wanted. We will be getting the key thing is the echo acoustics in the gym. So they are going to do down speakers from the ceiling so that it doesn't bounce as much, so that it is better. And one of Dawn's requirements is also headsets for those that are hearing impaired, so that they can hear it directly, you know, as opposed to trying to pick up what's coming through the speaker system.
Yeah, he also mentioned having them he was going to take them up to look at what the community school has. Remember, we used it for our budget meeting, and that projector way at the back, and the sound wasn't awesome, but the projection was, and their whole unit with their mission control thing there worked really well. So even their microphones worked.
And he was even having them look at a possibility of doing the projector from behind.
Yes, that's,
Not at the other end, because the school has it at the other end
Yes.
of the gym. He was having them look at. from
that's
the
what he was
stage.
originally looking at, but then he's
Yeah,
was
doing it from
looking
the
at,
stage
they're doing it the other
and
way.
having a panel right on the wall to be able to control.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're looking at alternatives, so essentially it's going to, all we're waiting for is to be able to have funds to use, because we have that fund that the town meeting gave us of 250,000, but almost all of it is spent. So until it's replenished, we can't go forward.
Maybe
And I
something to
don't,
think about in the future budgeting is a larger pool of money. I don't know.
you know, this is our first very large grant, and it certainly, originally, we thought we were getting the money up front, you know, and they've just kept changing the rules, and so.
And the only other thing on the grants that I want to bring your attention to is under the trip. The new guidelines are out, and there is now a cost sharing involved that is not 100% funded. There's now cost sharing involved.
Wait, since we signed up, they changed it? Since we were approved?
The original instructions with trip, the first round of trip grants, it was 100% funding. Now there's a cost share involved. The state said the guidelines had to be redone, so the state took over a year to redo the guidelines, and the deadline for submitting is not until February, so we do have time.
Is that for the road project?
Around here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yep. I think we are.
Okay. Let's see. Katie, you don't have this because it was handed out today. We have by December 1st, I think we have to get the town clerk our list of meeting dates for next year. And it'll include the date and the time. Now, what we have here are the second Tuesdays, with the exception of November, because the second Tuesday is Veterans Day. So what we're proposing to submit is November 12th for the regular meeting, because as long as it's on this list, it doesn't have to be a special meeting. Okay. Understand what I know you get that. The other question that I have is, do we want to keep 7 o'clock?
Yeah. Do we want to keep 6:30 or go back to 7?
Sorry.
I was thinking that although 6:30 was aspirational, it was difficult for,
I think it's difficult.
it's difficult for a lot of people. I think in the summer.
That's fine. It's fine. It's okay with me. So if you want to go to the 7, that's okay.
Back to the 7. All right, so do we want to change this?
7 o'clock is good. And I think Lars said it was better for him too,
Oh,
didn't he?
Lars has been having a lot of trouble, well, all summer long, you know. the sun's still up, you know, and he's a farmer.
And a new baby.
And yeah, that's why he's not here tonight. Okay, then could I have a motion to approve this list?
And you
Um,
come,
Or
and I'll
you
second
can
it.
move and I'll second.
Okay. So Margaret and Sally has seconded, any further discussion?
No,
Just a confirmation, we're still saying the second Tuesday of the month at 7.
Except, yes, except for November, where it'll be Wednesday, the second Wednesday. Okay. Or else we'll have to unlock the doors. All right, those in favor?
aye.
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 Okay, so there we go.
Okay, my turn?
No, I have one more.
Oh, sorry.
At the Amity Finance meeting last night, they presented their census of the 3 towns and what the implications would be for next year. Our census increased by 2. But because of a much larger increase yet again in Woodbridge and a decrease in Orange, there would still be, if this distribution of students remains the same by the time we're implementing the budget, then our share will go down by 0.18%. So that's less than 0.2%. But with the current budget that they have, if there were no increases, which we know is unlikely, but if there were no increases, it would be a $101,000 reduction in our assessment. So that's the good news. I guess that's just my second information item.
What was the reduction?
101,000.
No, it was 103.
103, sorry, 103,000.
Almost 104.
It won't be that, so. We'll just end up having less of an increase.
So Orange went down?
Yes, Orange has.
I thought Orange was supposed to go up because of all the,
No, well, what they, interestingly enough, what has happened is one of the really large developments has nobody living in it, or nearly no one living in it. And the other has a less permanent population than would be sending a lot of students into the school system.
the one that's mostly empty,
Mhm.
is it completed?
Part of it is, I think.
I
I
mean-
don't know, last night, one of the Orange gentlemen said he didn't see many cars there. And that there didn't appear to be. Either it wasn't ready or anyway, it wasn't providing any students that were anticipated to be coming.
And the other one that's supposedly like, that seems like transient,
Ye sort of, yes, that's.
Is
would
that-
be,
affordable housing, is that
I-
55 and older? I mean.
No, it was intended for family housing. It just is being used for more transient type family housing. So that they're,
Rentals?
Hmm?
Rentals?
mm-mm,
No? No?
How are you transient if you buy a house?
they're not buying, and it's,
Living there for free?
I don't know, Sally.
Oh, come on, you can't leave us.
Gonna have to talk to somebody in Orange, who knows?
I guess, I could talk to my aunt, but she has dementia, so I don't think I'll get very far.
You'll get the story you want.
Huh?
You'll get the story you want.
Yeah. I can tell you what, the way it was represented to us is that there is,
And I think they have a
Maybe it's that
moratorium
company that wants to take
on
over our
affordable housing.
place, that place.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Hmm.
Rehabilitation people, like,
Yeah,
get their.
yeah, maybe that's what it is. Rehab people.
Hmm, I
Okay.
thought that was Bethany
Well, I was gonna say, maybe they took our plan.
or lack of. Okay, I'm done.
I have just some
Cheers.
quick stuff. Last week at our Board of Selectmen meeting, Alex Hutchinson from P and Z had requested that the board approve reactivating his Affordable Advisory Committee. Because the big conversation with the state is they're talking affordable housing. So they just want to be an advisory committee to the P and Z. They will have no action that they can take. They're just basically advisory. So, but they also want to be helpful with regard to monitoring what the state is talking about with affordable housing so that any impact it could potentially have on the town of Bethany. So, I will work with Alex. He's actually coming in tomorrow morning. We're gonna, put together something for the bulletin, to advertise for people who might be interested in being on this committee. I know he has a couple of people already interested. So I'll keep you updated on that. The Board of Selectmen did approve their schedule for next year. We are keeping ours at 6:30. What we did, and Leslie, thank you for the catch, is because we have municipal elections on the first Tuesday in November. This year I had to cancel that and make a special meeting on Wednesday, but she caught it. And so our regular meeting will be that Wednesday for November. So it doesn't have to be a special meeting as well. Most of our other projects are still kind of in the holding pattern. The solar project obviously is a private transaction, but we just haven't heard if that's been finalized yet. Russell, we're waiting for the family to correct whatever issues they have at their end. And Simpson property, we've given a deposit to the family. He actually came in the other day to pick up that deposit. And so that puts a definite hold. They can't go and sell. So we're good with that. Just waiting for Deep and the state to do their thing. I've got some information going in the bulletin with regard to the elections for last week. There's a whole chart and breakdown of what the results were. But just a couple of highlights. We have 4,192 registered voters in town. I asked Will for some stats of those registered voters, those that got checked off as actually having voted, whether it was EV, absentee, same day, whatever, was 3,603. So we actually had a percentage of 85.9% of our registered
Awesome.
voters show up for the election last Tuesday. So I just thought that might be an interesting statistic for you. All of this plus some extra stuff is going to be in the bulletin for December, but I just thought I'd give you a couple of the highlights.
Nice.
And I believe that's what I got.
Okay. Do we have anything else? The control and sustainability issues, I think we're pretty much kind of talked through
A lot of them.
a lot
earlier,
of them
yeah.
tonight.
Mhm.
I have a question for Mr. Rooney. Eric? Online, can you unmute yourself? I'd like to ask you a question. No,
Eric,
Eric?
can you
I don't know
unmute
if he's
yourself?
still on. Is he still on?
Oh, he's trying. He's
Okay.
trying. Okay, thank you. It's not working, laugh out loud. Okay, all right. Well, Sharon can ask and maybe you could write the answer in.
Yes, yeah, okay. So I'm not sure exactly at what time you joined us, but I have the feeling you joined us when we were kind of in the middle of talking about our issues, the issues the town is having and concerning collecting for services rendered but not paid to Park and Rec.
Oh, he was on well before that. I know.
Oh, were you on, just tell
Yeah.
me, were you on for that? So did you hear that?
Yes,
Yes,
he was on before. Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
he heard the entire thing because I remember when he got on.
all right, okay. One of the things that on our agenda, we had said we would not take public comment unless people were concerned with something that we were discussing. Is there anything about this, about our discussion that you think we should rethink, or does this sound like what you're trying to accomplish? Where is it?
Well, I opened up the chat on the right, so if there you go.
I think it
I
sounded
think
good
it
to
sounds
me.
good to me.
Okay, all right, as long as we're not doing something that would drive you guys crazy. All right, thank you, and
Eric.
I'm sure that that Leslie will be,
Yeah, I will follow up our conversation that we had here, the discussions we had at this
Yeah.
meeting with Jen, the chair of the Park and Rec Commission.
They
Yeah,
do
or-
have an actual regular meeting scheduled for the 19th, which will be in the commission room because another meeting is going to be going on in here. But that is a regular meeting, so that is potentially something they can have on their agenda for discussion. I mean, even if it was a special meeting, as long as we put it on the agenda prior to, that could be.
well, hopefully they would put it on the agenda since it's being
Right.
recommended,
That's
and now they're aware of the fact that it's not a small number
Yeah.
that's involved.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next meeting is scheduled for December 10th, 2024.
I just have a question. I'm so sorry. We we skipped section 8, I think. Which maybe they're just placeholders, but I was wondering if there was an update on the BAA and FD lease agreements. I thought that we were going to see copies of them prior meetings that was discussed.
I have, Paula and I have access to the leases. They're currently in my office. We are going to go through them and we need to set a time to meet with Vin, to the town attorney, to work on reconstructing both of them. To clarify the portions that need clarification on the fire department and to make sure we thoroughly understand the financial responsibility with the BAA lease.
So when you have that
Okay.
information, you'll present it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
No, before we adjourn, I'm just gonna ask for page numbers on the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Got it.
yes, that would be.
And
Got it.
I will not be at the next meeting. That is family vacation week. But I will have everything ready before I go, and Sharon will have a itemized report from me that can be shared.
Okay.
You can function without me.
Going anyplace good?
We are way too still in this room tonight.
Really?
There we go.
We got it.
All right,
We got
so
Yes.
we almost made it to adjournment without the lights going off.
Mhm.
So, can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Sorry. The darkness got me.
Sally spaced out on that one, and
Yeah.
usually she's right there. All right, those in favor?
Uh,
All right, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Eric, for joining us and listening to us.
Yes, Sally. We're going to Mickey's Christmas party.
Who's? You're
Good night,
Disney
Katie.
World? Oh, my.
Good night.
Eric.